Dude, being 32 years old and just not having really anything going on and feeling like you kind of like fucked up your life fucking sucks, man. It fucking sucks. This isn't just a victimhood video though. Because I'm not giving up. You know, this is the hand that I was dealt. And then I played the hand that I was dealt poorly. Let's say that. You know, I didn't have like a traumatic upbringing or anything. In the sense that like there wasn't like explicit like abuse when I was growing up. But everybody, to some degree, and I know I have, and I'm starting to really understand it and see it and like deal with it and feel those freaking emotions and shit. But like, man, growing up in this culture, we're all fucked up, man. Like, we're all basically, we're all fuck ups, you know? Compared to like the standard, like compared to like how a human being is, you know, compared to Jesus Christ, compared to, I'm talking about like the real standard here. I'm talking about, you know, the saints, the sages, the enlightened ones. And you know, I became a Christian like 7 years ago, and I think I basically, what I did with Christianity was I just used it as like a cloak over my trauma. And there was healing, I think, that happened, and I started to live more righteously. But that underlying trauma was never, it was never dealt with. And in fact, I think acted on it, and I became like this fucking, I was like sex addicted, you know? But I was operating under this like fucking weird, just a little over a year into my walk in the Christian journey, I got swept into this fucking destructive teaching, and basically it was like, oh, well, according to Leviticus 18, you know, a man, it's not against the law of God if a man has, you know, premarital sex. It is for women, but not for men. You know, it was a very malignant strain of Torah observance. There are good people in the Torah movement, but, and it took me a long time. Eventually, I kind of walked away from that. I was in a cult, you know, and I was like, it was just 2 years ago, I walked away from it, and I slowly started to realize, okay, clearly I'm a pretty fucked up person in order to have fallen prey to this, you know? Because there's this, I mean, it's kind of complicated, but it's whatever. I gotta try to stay big picture here. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that, like, it's become increasingly clear to me as the years go on, as these depressive episodes continue to manifest, that something in me is just broken. Like, I don't work properly. It's like I have these ups and downs. Like, the last few years, like the shoulder season, the spring and the fall, I'm feeling good. Like I think I'm about to start feeling good again. But I don't know. I feel like I just wanted to make a video because all summer, it's kind of like that first video I made. It was like all winter, I just was feeling shitty, and then, I mean, don't get me wrong, the summer has not been as bad as the winter, but I don't know. I mean, my grandmother just passed away. We were tight. And just dealing with the wake and the funeral, and like just being around a big group of people, like so, like being kind of isolated and not just like speaking honestly and having your people and being in a community, like it does make you kind of fucking like just kind of like socially retarded. Like you just like I have no, like everybody else is like I don't know. I guess I've probably always been like that, little different. I guess maybe a touch of the tism. I don't know, whatever it is. But I was really just freaking uncomfortable during this wake, and it's just like little small talk. Like I just fucking like, and it's like everybody else in my family just seems to do it so easily. And I have been able to do that easily in the past, but it seems like as time goes on, there's more and more, the stretches of time where I'm feeling like shitty and depressed is like becoming longer. And I know I gotta fucking deal with it. You know, I've been letting it go. I've been doing like the David Hawkins stuff. In fact, I was feeling really shitty earlier, and I haven't been doing the letting go tech. I kind of let go of I let go of the letting go technique. But I did it for like, I don't know, almost an hour, like not in one stretch, but I did come out of that feeling like a sense of hope and a renewal. And I don't know, I just wanted to make a fucking video. You know, I've been inspired by Owen Benjamin, and I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on him, if you're aware of him, the comedian, the exiled comedian, turned like homesteader, community leader. He's still a comedian. I mean, the guy's a fucking artist as far as I'm concerned. I think in my opinion, Owen is a very he's very close to God, and he's got the fruit. Look at his life. I mean, he's on a farm, beautiful, lives in Idaho, beautiful family. He's got all these people who freaking love him. It's not a cult guy. I've been in a cult. Like what he has going on is not a cult. It's he doesn't impose any moral, any religious or moral strictures. It's, you know, but anyway, I'm not gonna like make a defense of him. I want to talk about the influence he's had on me. You know, I came across his stuff back in late 2018, and he was pretty recently exiled from Hollywood at that time. You know, he was a very popular stand-up comic, very talented with the piano, and his stand-up was really good. And he was in some movie. He's not really a great actor, but he's a very good comedian, very good musician, extremely highly effective communicator. And man, when I came across Owen's channel, it was like, you know, that was about 7 years ago, and it's really similar to how I feel now as I come across him again, and I'm looking at the fruit that has manifested in his life in that 7 year time. And 7 years ago, I had just become a Christian. You know, I was into like Jordan Peterson for like a year. And before that, I was just living like debauchery, and fucking Peterson kind of, you know, that was God used him as the instrument of my life to like fucking wake me up out of this craziness I was in. But I was never like really like I was gripped by Peterson, but not like at such a emotional and almost spiritual level as Owen. When I first came across Owen's stuff, he was fucking like pounding White Claw, playing piano outside in like upstate New York, just like talking about Jews and like fucking but he was funny, and there was this sense of just honesty just flowing through him, and there was a sense of just courage and conviction, and just fucking like there was like a heroic quality to him that like I was just immediately, instantly like gripped by. And I started listening to all of his streams. I watched all of his streams that whole year 2019, watched all of his streams. And I think that's a big reason. And that was the year I moved to like a new state. I was in Austin, Texas, and I was listening to Owen every day. I was on semen retention. That was my first stint, 10 months. I'd become a Christian. I was 25 years old. And there was, you know, when you're 25, it's like, feels like you're like, I'm 32 now, feels like I'm starting over. And it fucking sucks. It sucks, man. But when you're 25 starting over, it's not so bad. But anyway, I had like fucking high test, and I was just fucking like, life was an adventure. I'm in this new place. Like, I'm gonna meet my wife out here. We're gonna like fucking go out and like start a fucking homestead, and just like, I'm just gonna put babies in her, and like, I was just geeked off on life, dude. I was like freaking pumped. But you know, Owen, you know, he's got his problems, and there were some red flags kind of about him, and I kind of took a break from him, but through his advice, I kind of moved out to East Tennessee to this little homestead that was a Christian family, and I was working in sales in Austin, Texas. I was like, I'm not a fucking outdoor guy, indoor guy. Like, this sales thing, I don't know if it's for me. And I was influenced by Owen to just start learning practical skills, like, you know, learn permaculture, learn how to set up a garden, learn like rotational grazing, like, you know, just get into that stuff, you know, because like, God knows what's going to happen with the supply chain and all this stuff. And a lot of that decision was fear-based about the way things were going, you know. I was kind of like a normie up until I came across Owen, and then it was just like a freaking like IV drip of fucking red pills, just like that whole year, just fucking all this shit. And you know, and so I didn't trust. I had like this fear, basically. And so that was part of the motivation to move out to this homestead. And like, while I was there, I met this guy who's still my friend. You know, we're kind of like, we don't stay in touch as much, but like, he was basically in this like fledgling cult, and he got kicked out of it. But the cult leader is like a fucking lunatic, man. Like, now, in my defense and in my friend's defense, he's gotten way worse with time, but there was plenty of signals to stay clear of this guy. But because of our fucking trauma, now I'm open about that. Like, my friend, he doesn't seem to see it this way. I don't think he's looking deep enough. But for me, you know, and that coincided with COVID, and this guy, like, you know, all these questions about Christianity that I had, I was like thinking about orthodoxy, but I was kind of in this Protestant thing. My buddy just like freaking answered all these questions, like, no problem. And he's like, yeah, man, you got to check this guy out. I checked this guy out. It's basically like Christianity is like a giant, Christianity is basically like the Antichrist religion, was this guy's position. Like, Christianity in the sense that like not keeping the Torah. This guy was big in, like, you know, Torah observance, which is a growing movement. But this was 2020, just kind of when the Torah stuff was starting to get more popular, I guess. But I guess I was kind of on the outs with Owen. He kind of did some stuff that I thought was kind of weird, and I wasn't really trusting him and the way he was dealing with some stuff. And then COVID hit. I'm in this new place, so I just go with this totally new philosophy that basically allowed me to like just be a scumbag. Like, I'll just be honest with you. Like, Like, I could just, like, have sex with girls, like, no problem. And I became, like, a fucking deviant, dude. I became, like, obsessed and, like, in a fucked up way, too. Not just, like, regular sex, but, like, the shit that you'd see in the pornos. Like, I just want to do that. And, like, fucking... That's what I mean about growing up in this culture, man. Like, even if we don't have, like, trauma from our parents, which we all do. It just might not be... when you think of trauma, you think of, like, an explicit sexual... No, it's... But even if you have a quote-unquote normal upbringing like me, without that explicit trauma, dude, this fucking pornography, this shit... I mean, I played a fucking... serial killer guy. I was into acting in college, and I got cast as a serial... I never watched fucking porn in my life. Made it to 22 years old. I never watched any porn. I was always instinctively just fucking skeeved out by it. My friends would, like, turn... I'd be like, that is fucked up, dude. Like, I would literally get this pit in my stomach whenever my friends would talk about it or I'd see it. I don't know. You know, but whatever. So, yeah, fuck it. I guess we'll just do the story hour or whatever. Is my cigar still lit? Nope. Might have to light this in a sec. But, like, dude, I was like... I was relatively pure. As pure as you can be in, like, this day and age. Like, you know... I mean, I graduated high school in, like, 2012. Like, internet porn was fucking massive at that time. It was in full blossom. But I get really into acting in college. Really into theater. I was a theater major. And I got cast as this, like, fucking lunatic, like, serial killer guy. And me being like, oh, I gotta be like Heath Ledger and, like, fucking dive into this shit. Oh, I gotta, like, really understand the fucking character. It's like, it was so misguided, man. And what I would wish to just fucking turn back that page, man. But fuck it, hey, man. That's the hand we're dealt, baby. We're living out here, man. Fuck it. We just keep going. But, yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, this fella that I'm playing's into pornography. Let me go right ahead and watch some... And I, like, went right to, like, the fucking hardcore shit. Because this guy was, like, you know, fucked up. And, dude, I was just like, what the fuck is this? And I just started, like, gooning it every day. I'd be with these... I was popular with the ladies in college. It was not easy. It was one of the sayings of my school. It was like a small liberal arts school. And... it was like 65% women. But one of the sayings of our school is, I won't say the name of the school, but, like, for guys, it's like, oh, where the odds are good, but the goods are odd. You know, that'd be... But yeah, my senior year, I was like the theater program was, like, kind of legit. And so a lot of people would come to the plays, and I was like, my senior year, I was like the lead in 2 of the 4 plays. So I had girls just, like, no problem, you know. I had, like, I was living in this the crew house. Fucking, we'd have like, yeah, and I just, like, yeah, I'd be watching so much of that fucking Poison, I wouldn't even be able to perform half the time. But anyway, side note, Jaquelian Rabbit Hole, coming back into the main road. But what I'm saying, guys, I'm kind of just telling my story, I guess, you know. But, like, I didn't think that was wrong or anything at the time. I mean, I was a total heathen, like, basically like an agnostic hedonist. And, you know, so I just continued doing that, you know, just debauchery and just, but I never like actually acted out some of the shit that I saw. It wasn't like crazy, like fucking, like fucking dominant fucking... It wasn't like sadomasochism and like fucking whips and apples and shit. It wasn't like fucking like... It wasn't anything like violent, but it was just that like fucking performative shit and just like... I don't even really want to I mean, I think you guys know what I'm talking about, and I'm getting kind of a sick feeling right now just talking about it. So we'll just leave it at that. But I never really I never like acted out what I saw. And I became like a Christian. And I guess, yeah, there were clear times where it was like almost these attacks that I'd want to like do that stuff. But I was operating from like a level of like shame and guilt. Like David Hawkins talks about the levels of consciousness. You guys should look into that. And Owen, I think, just to get back to him real quick, is operating at a very high level of consciousness. I mean, he's not at like a love, peace, and enlightenment, but he's not a saint. You know what I mean? But in terms of like a normal fucking influencer, he's up at like, I mean, when I came across him like 7 years ago, he was at like courage, and now he's probably up to acceptance and even up getting into love, I think, at this point, which is not easy to do. But anyway, when I was Christian, you know, I mean, I still am a Christian, guys. It's just I'm not like actively in the church. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe he was risen from the dead. I believe he's the Messiah. I believe he conquered death. I just don't know about the modern church. And Orthodoxy seems like it could be it, but there's a lot of questions I have. But anyway, so I stopped listening to Owen. I was at this farm. This is right when COVID hit. And this guy saying, oh yeah, no problem. And then, you know, just do whatever you want with the women. You know, Leviticus 18, it's okay. Men, it's just women that can't have premarital sex. Men can, no problem. Men have sexual power, blah, blah, blah. And so I literally remember the day that I like accepted that into my heart. And I just had like this sick, like, I don't know if you guys know what the feeling is like, but like when an energy or a demon, whatever you want to think of it as, comes into you, and you start like agreeing with it and like contracting to act on it, there's like this feeling of just like it's like a surge, it's like a dark surge in your heart, but it feels really invigorating, but you know it shouldn't be there. You know it's kind of fucked. But like, and I knew it deep down. But it, because of my fucked up life and like issues growing up with girls when I was younger, controlling mom, you know, all this shit made me susceptible to this contracting with this darkness, you know. And so I did. I just basically for like until I just snapped out of it, or God rescued me, whatever it was. There was just one day I woke up and I was just like this like conviction to change. And but until that happened, man, I was just like fucking out there, just wanting to just like have sex with as many women as possible, and just, you know, and like in a fucked up way, not just like oh just have sex, that'll be like, no, but like kind of like a dominating type shit. And it's fucked up for me to say this and to even put this online, but like I'm taking inspiration from Owen Benjamin, man. If he can do it and other people can tell their story and be completely honest, because the frequency that I'm speaking to you guys right now is just like flow state honesty. And I know that you guys, if you're on a similar path as me, you're gonna be connecting with it. So fuck it. I'm not gonna just fucking hide in the shadows anymore, you know? Like but anyway, fuck it. So I was doing that, and I wasn't even successful with it because I was just like, I had no like mission. I mean, the mission, like money max for this cult, I was like caddying and just making as much money as I could. And so I kind of deluded myself that that was like my mission, but it wasn't like a high spiritual mission. It was just, and I was just gooning it all the time. So I had no fucking like charisma or power. But there were a few times where I was with some women, and it's like, and each time I did, I would like kind of act out the fantasies that I saw, and it felt amazing. But then it was just like complete emptiness afterwards. And then like, yeah, it's like eating a fucking giant ice cream sundae and then just being like hungrier after. It's like not, you know, you eat like a nice home cooked like fucking steak and potatoes and some nice veggies and a nice glass of raw milk, and you enjoy it and you savor it. You're gonna be nice and fulfilled out. You're not gonna want any more food after that, you know. But anyway, guys, so yeah, eventually fucking it just yeah, one day we were on this like conference call about how to like maximize the cult. Like we're coming into like, for a long time it was just money max, you know, just make as much money as possible. It was completely disorganized. It was so obviously a cope, you know. I can so clearly see it now, but it just, again, it goes to show the level of blindness I was under due to fucking trauma in my life, you know. And there is a certain level of like responsibility that you need to take, but and I do. I take responsibility for what I did, but the reasons I did what I did was because of the stuff that happened to me. So I'm not trying to be a victim here. What's that saying? Like, it's not your fault what happened to you, but it's your responsibility. And I was irresponsible. But I wasn't evil, you know. Like I did like fucked up things, you know. But we wrestle not flesh and blood, you know. There's forces of darkness out there, guys, as you know. But I don't know. So where am I going with all this? Yeah, we're on this conference call one day, and it went fucking sideways. It was a complete shit show. This one guy was drunk. They were arguing. And I just, as that call was happening, I was just drinking. And I basically stopped drinking. I was a big drinker, but then I just became like, I replaced drinking and carousing with just like sex and like day game and trying to just pick up women all the time, like out in public, like during the day, which I sucked at, by the way, but I would still do it because I was like obsessed. But yeah, I just I woke up super hungover. I went to the beach. I was living in Florida, and I just had like a total, I started like praying while I was in the ocean, but it was like a real prayer. It was like the Holy Spirit came in, and I actually felt a connection to God. I mean, and the fucked up thing, guys, is like during this whole time I was being a degenerate in this like cult, this like Hebrew roots cult that I was in. I was still praying like all the time, but it was totally like, it wasn't making it up to the heavens. It was like, it had no power in it. It was because there wasn't real faith there. It was just, and I think that's the level that like a lot of people operate on in prayers. But I'm not here to judge. I'm just like, I don't know. There have been times in my walk where I've prayed and it really feels like God is listening. A lot of times it doesn't, but this time that I'm telling you about now, it was like a total peacefulness came over me. It was like just a little foretaste of like the presence of God. It was just like a little smidge, but I know it was there. And I just felt a conviction to just to change my ways. So I did, and you know, I came across basically I realized that this guy's stuff was fucked. This guy is a very dark individual, and I've fallen, and because I listened to him and agreed with him, well, what does that say about me? So it bring on all this fucking soul searching and shit, and it's like And then I came across this other, the Ministers of the New Covenant out in Georgia, and they're Hebrew roots, but they're like the best Hebrew roots people I've seen. There's good Hebrew roots people out there. These were good, and it was for like that whole next year, I was still in the Torah stuff, but it was like there was love in it, you know. Like before, it was just complete fucking. It was crazy, man. And I actually, it was this time last year, I took a flight down to Georgia, and I wanted to meet the pastor, and I met him, and I prayed very hard that like God would lead me to the right place, and I did. I went there, and it just didn't. They were nice. Like I felt like these were good people, but like it didn't feel like it was a home. It didn't feel like this is the answer to my prayer. It felt like, oh, these are nice people, but this isn't for me. And because I prayed so much, and I was doing a lot of fasting, and I felt very confident, even though rationally it ticked all the boxes, this Ministers of the New Covenant stuff. You know, I didn't have that feeling of peace. I didn't have that like thing that I had, and I was like, I just trusted in God that this wasn't for me, you know. And then shortly after that, I started this very tough winter, delivering oil in the truck, and I started having doubts about just the whole Hebrew roots movement and stuff. And part of that came about through Orthodoxy, learning about Orthodoxy, and the whole winter kind of came on. I got through it. I went to an Orthodox church a couple times, and it was good. I never like got into it. I never went to it, you know, and like consistently. And I don't know. I'm kind of just rambling. I guess this just goes to show that I've felt a need to express this. Like this is just something that I've wanted to say. And I guess, guys, where I'm at now is that like I don't know. I don't know like what the truth is. I believe in Jesus Christ, but I don't know if it's like, I don't know. I do not take your theological direction from me. I'm just a guy telling his story, trying to be as honest as possible with that fucking with that hopeful, just that Irish gumpy-headed fucking hopefulness, dude. Like, I feel like my life, I look at my life 7 years ago when I was 25, listening to Owen Benjamin, and then that fucking derail that I took, and that fucking craziness that I was into, and now it's like, want to be with a woman. It's like I'm fucking 32. I'm not going back to this oil gig. I don't know what the fuck I'm even doing in a couple weeks for work. Now, thank God I have some money saved, and maybe all that money maxing for the cult, that's a silver lining, right? There's always a silver lining, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have the money saved, because I did fucking work a lot during that period. But, and I made a lot of money, because golf just exploded during COVID, dude. It absolutely exploded. But, it's funny, man, because now it's like, it really, it's like almost history is repeating, except like it did 7 years ago, when I was just coming into Christianity, coming across Owen Benjamin, gripped by him. Now the same thing's happening again with Owen, and now he seems to have matured dramatically, and now it's undeniable, the fruit that he has in his life. I mean, he had it back 7 years ago, but it's a lot more now. It's a lot more. Like, a lot of people say he's a scammer, a grifter, a land scam. Like, I used to like kind of think, well, maybe he is, you know, with I used to have my thoughts when he was trying to create his own server or whatever. I had my doubts, and there were people saying that shit, and I started kind of maybe being like, oh, maybe they're right. And I basically kind of just stopped listening to him. And he wasn't as secure and mature as he is now. So he'd kind of fly off the handle, and like, whenever anybody would like question him, he would just fucking like, banned for life, fucking yell at them. Like, there were a couple pretty ugly scenes, and I was like, yeah, this guy, I'm just going to take a break, you know? And, just realizing now, you know, like, Owen got a huge following during COVID because he wasn't wearing a mask or anything. He wasn't going to get the squirt stick, you know? And there was a lot of fear during that time, man. A lot of fear. A lot of people living in cities, you know, and Owen was just this ray of sunshine, this just like high level of consciousness, courage, you know, just like not giving in to any of those lower vibrations, the fear. And I took his advice and went to a farm, and I was like totally safe. I was in like fucking East Bumfuck, Tennessee, and there was nobody wearing a fucking mask where I was. Nobody fucking gave a shit. So I didn't have, so it's like I would check in with like Owen's stuff and be like, oh, he's kind of funny, like only criminals and perverts wear masks. Which one are you, lady? Like, you know, a squirt stick of mystery fluid, like just like really good rhetoric, you know. But I guess I had my new fucking my new worldview was forming, you know. And I wanted something more answered.